Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We have another Wednesday coming up here in the Austrian English accent. So it's another Wednesday, it's another 11 a.m. Great questions today about pain, injuries, and I guess also some coaching development. So I'm looking forward to it.
Hi, everyone. Yes, so we're going to start off with bulge discs. And what would be your go-to recommendation for someone who is suffering from pain due to a bulge disc, not due to a traumatic injury or anything, but just like, yeah, as stupid as it sounds, like everyday use and overuse? What is your go-to as to recommendations how to go about it? And yeah, especially training wise.
Mhm. Okay, so let's break it down a little bit further. Okay, so the practical solution is do the Holy Hip Healer templates 1 and 2. Plus, if you have more time, do the tremendous trunk tree template as well. That's the practical solution behind it. So I'm not going to go into all the exercises that are on there because they're kind of self-explanatory, but I want to give you a little bit more background of what I think non-traumatic back pain or bulging herniated discs are actually about. So the really cool thing about this topic is I was in that same boat too. So I think that was 20, such short memory. I think it was 2017 or 18 when I got carried out of my own gym, suffering from, you guessed it, a herniated disc. So that was not a pleasant experience, right? Because especially if you're a professional and you're training other people, it's kind of a shitty situation to be in. And I'm not talking about like a little bit of aching backs or me having like some sore spots. No. This is like full blown herniated disc. That means you cannot move at all. Like you're flat on the ground. Somebody had to carry me out of the gym,
Can you
put me
tell
in the
us
car.
more on what happened or what kind of like what happened before the disc?
Well, it actually happened during snatching, but snatching was not the problem. It was like in retrospective, the 5, 7 years of training prior to that. So it's not the one moment where everything kind of tilts in the wrong direction. It's not you picking up the toothbrush in the morning and suddenly you have sharp pain in your lower back. No. This non-traumatic pain and if I have to describe it, non-traumatic movement disorder kind of builds up over time. That means you're getting signals along the way. You're just ignoring them. In my case, there was like, okay, deadlifting or hinging and the lower back flaring up all the time. Nothing crazy, just cramping of the lumbar erectors and a little bit of soreness the next day, a little bit of too much blood pump in there, but nothing super crazy, not like actual sharp pain, right? Compared to the actual event of herniating your discs.
Mhm.
So that was kind of the build up towards it. The fun part is, the fun part. Um, the interesting thing is we have to break it down. So having a herniated discs and being in pain is not necessarily correlated. I have a study in the book which if we sum it up very easily, that means you can have a herniated disc but not be in pain and vice versa. So you can be in pain and not have herniated discs. So that means just because you're in pain doesn't mean you have a structural issue in your body, and just because you have a structural issue in your body doesn't mean you experience pain. The solution of both is really simple. So there's 3 pelvic positions that you have to learn. Let's break it down. You can tilt your pelvis forward, you can tilt it backwards, or you can have it neutral. Tilting it forward has a purpose, tilting it backwards has a purpose, and keeping it neutral has a purpose. What I'm trying to teach and explain through the book is, okay, 2 of those positions are meant to be done with unloaded movements, the tilting forward and tilting backwards. And there's only one that you have to practice, which is the neutral hip for all loaded positions. No matter if you want to call it squat, push, pull, hinge, doesn't matter. That's the only position the hip wants to be in once it gets heavily loaded. Okay, yes, there's a gray area in between. This is not just bodyweight movements and 300 kilos. Yes, there's something in between, but I think it helps creating like a model and realizing, okay, this is about either unloaded movements or loaded. So in my case, when I look back at my videos, I'm in the hips tilting forward bolt all the time. So whenever I load my spine from the top, that means putting a barbell on my back or snatching and all that kind of stuff. My hips tilted right forward, which is not an issue doing lunges or jumping or running, but it is an issue once you load it constantly over a long period of time with weight on top of your spine. Right. So the issue per se is not your lower back or the herniated disc. The issue is you cannot control your pelvis while under load. And that's why it's always going this way. And that means at some point the vertebrae or the disc in that case has to take the beating. Right. So that's the intro story to bulging discs. 99.9% of people have not a lower back issue, but a pelvis control issue that gets highlighted in strength training. So the question is, how can we fix that? Super simple. If you follow the Holy Hip Healer templates, if you follow the hip training roadmap, there's a certain sequence of, okay, we need to stabilize the hips first, we need the glute max, we need to learn the jobs. If you do that, then your lower back will go back to normal or whatever you want to call it. That's exactly what I did for my lower back, minus all the smartness that I put down that I wrote down in the book, because guess what? I've just figured it out afterwards.
But if we take it like one step back now, before we talk about what to do, my question is more so like when to do it. Because there are like voices out there who say like, oh my God, whenever something like this happens, you have to rest it for like a really long time. And what is but just kind of like thinking about people who probably listen to us are people who enjoy going to the gym, and there's probably a really big percentage of people who dread being told like, okay, now you have to rest and not do anything. So my question is more so, how can you start your process and what can you start with and how to go about that?
Okay, so the best start would be, don't wait until the disc cells is actually bulging and start right now
Mhm.
doing 1 or 2 templates a week. Like that's the very best point to start. Obviously, if it already happened,
Mhm.
um, I don't give a shit about resting. Yes, there's a point of resting, but for me, non-traumatic pain is a disbalance between how your body wants to be used and how it's actually used, right? So there's a point of waiting a couple of days, like I don't know, I'm not a doctor or anything else, but a couple of days so you gain back the confidence. Pain usually like decreases over time, and I think it's beneficial to help in that acute phase with maybe even painkillers or inflammatory stuff. Again, when it already happened, I'm not a proponent of saying do this as a precautious thing, but when it happened, to kind of shorten that acute phase, I think it makes total sense.
How was that
Um,
in your situation? How long was that period of the worst pain where you couldn't do anything?
Couple of days, like 3 or 4 days, where I
Okay.
literally couldn't move at all, and obviously I took some anti-inflammatory stuff. But as soon as I started to you feel if you want to move or not because of
Mhm.
laziness or not, but because of, okay, this doesn't feel right to move right now. Um, as soon as you feel like, okay, moving, you go for walks, you go uphill, you go like you starting to up the ante to moving again, then it's the right time to go into the templates, right? Obviously, be smart about how much weight you're going to use and what to actually learn while you're doing this. So take a couple of days off, relax, breathe, and then jump right into it. But the point is, you have to understand what you're looking for once you start the templates. The templates won't heal your back just because there's other exercise in there. No, no, no. You have to understand first, what is a neutral pelvis? How do I need to train my glute max in 3 different jobs to get there? Start with carries. This is a process and not not a pill, not a
Mhm.
medicine that I hand out and everybody gets healed, having no more lower back pain whatsoever. But the point is, as I mentioned earlier, it is a discrepancy between how your body wants to be used and how you're actually using it. So that gap needs to be closed. This can't be closed with rest. This can't be closed with exercise. This has to be closed with knowledge plus rest plus exercises. That makes total sense. And I think that makes sense. In that sense, it makes sense to use a coach in that um,
Mhm.
in that process if he knows what he's doing.